Welcome back, friends and followers, to TJ's Modeling Bench. I am feverishly trying to get my USACC dart done. I've been working on it almost every night for the last week and a half. Today, it is currently about 9:45 on Saturday, May 31st. Tomorrow is June 1st. So I'm 2.5 months past the deadline. But I'm really close to having it done. I'm staying up late tonight to try to finish it, and it may not happen tonight, but it will definitely happen before I go back to work on Monday. You can count on that. I'm done with this. Plus, I've got some other projects I want to get started on. Namely, tomorrow, June 1st, is the start of the Street Machine group build sponsored by Jason over at Blue Ox Model Shop. I think there's another modeler, a friend of his, that this goes with. Anyway, I have to pick something out. I have a few models that I can enter for that one, and it's a good long group build, so I think I can probably finish it this year. We'll see. Anyway, let me show you what I've been working on up to this point now, and probably by the end of this video you will see a completed 68 Dodge Dart for the USACC build. Alright, so hold on. Moving right along. So I've got my vinyl top down. Now I'm adding my bare metal foil to my window trims. I've got the front done already. Not too bad. This is very tedious work that you really have to concentrate on. If you've never done it, I can highly recommend, and he's a fairly new content creator, new channel, Scale Modeling in Retirement. And he recently put out a video on doing bare metal foil. And it's a really good tutorial if you've never done it before. And even if you've done it a little bit, he might show you a few things that you hadn't thought about doing, or tools, or that kind of thing. So I am pressing on here with my next piece, so we got to do the rear window, but we also have to do our lower trim molding, and then around the windows and our triangular vent windows on the doors. But this area here, I'm going to have to use a wider piece than I would normally use to cover that, just because of the curvature. In fact, what I might do, and I'll tell you, this black vinyl paint that I used from MCW Paints, I probably should have maybe scuffed the underlying rooftop, because it's kind of delicate. Down here, I actually did some touch up with the brush. I dipped it into the mixed up paint and just kind of dabbed it on. You can kind of see it, but I'm a little bit worried that as I lay down my bare metal foil, any excess that I try to remove, the adhesive may pull away some of that black vinyl top as well. So I may have to go back in and retouch it yet again, but we'll see. I've got a piece cut that's a little bit wider than 1/4 inch, because from this edge to here, that distance is a little bit over 1/4 inch. So hopefully I've cut this wide enough, not too narrow, because I don't really want to waste any more than I have to. So we'll see if this is wide enough to cover everything. And even if I don't get those very bottom corners, I think, yeah, oh well. So I'll have to hit these corners with separate pieces. I may be able to do it with whatever piece I use on the side portion of the trim, but I'm going to try to knock out both of these lines kind of at one time here, and hope that I don't pull away that vinyl top. so I don't have to do any touch-up. But I'm feeling like I'm probably going to have to do touch-up, so we'll get back to it. Several hours later, I am finished doing my trim work. It didn't turn out too bad. This is only really the second time I've done this, so it could be better. But you know, on this build, I've done a lot of things that I've never really done before. So far, I'm pretty happy with myself. I think I'm finally in the home stretch. Just getting little bits and bobs added, and we're just about there. I've had to modify a few things. You know, I was gonna do the brake lines. I had bent some wire to do that, and I was gonna, you know, cut them shorter as needed. But when I installed the brake master cylinder, it's so close to where the wheel well is, my lines wouldn't go down in there, and then they kind of bent off anyway. So it's not going to be quite as detailed as I had anticipated originally, but that's that. Something else I kind of modified a little bit. The battery had a base around the bottom of it, and it just, I don't know, it didn't fit right in the position where they tell you to put it. I just didn't think it looked right, so I trimmed off that base portion of it, so the battery actually is just a slight amount lower in the engine bay now than it was originally. You see I've got my radiator with the radiator cap, the fan shroud, everything's wired. I need to put my ignition coil in there still. I was kind of waiting to get everything else in there before I finalized that piece. But yeah, we're almost there. I'm so close, and I'm so ready to be done with this. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. She's finally done. She's not perfect by any means. There's a lot of little things that didn't quite go the way I wanted them to. And let me grab something to point with here. Right here, you can't see it because of the glare. Well, maybe you can. There's a glue booger. Yeah, I don't know how I did it. I really don't know how I did it, but I ended up getting glue on the windshield like a dummy. Some things I can point out here. All right, the GTS markings on the side, that is from the photo etch kit, as is the emblem here on the hard top, or the the vinyl top. The door handles and mirrors are kit parts. Those actually got sprayed with Revell chrome spray. The wheels and tires come from Matthew at MCV Products. I modified the rear suspension to give it a little more height. The axle actually runs underneath the leaf springs instead of on top of them. Inside the driver's compartment. All right, I used bare metal foil on the, actually no, it's not stock. I was going to say on the stock window cranks, but actually I had photo etch on the photo etch for the Norms Dart, but I did put the bare metal foil on those and then cut them out. I put bare metal foil on this emblem on the door trim. It's bare metal foil on the door handle. The turn signal lever, that's actually a pin, and then a glue blob of epoxy glue on the end to give that knob look that they had. The floor is flocked with black embossing powder. I used bare metal foil trim around the center console and a little bit, it's hard to see, but I used it around the instrument gauge face. The shift handle, the kit part, somehow I lost it. It disappeared. So I took a piece of wire and bent it to the right shape, and then I took some plastic tubing and put it on my mini drill and shaped it, and then attached it to that piece of wire. The vinyl top, that is actually a product from MCW Finishes, and it's made specifically for vinyl top. And I tell you what, I really like the way it turned out. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here for you. I don't know if I can get it to focus better. There we go. All right, and easy peasy. Now the separation spines, those are half round evergreen plastic. They're probably a little bit thick. I probably could have sanded them down so they sat a little lower, less pronounced. Other than that, I think they're the right size for it. The paint is also MCW Finishes, a medium turquoise metallic. Not a great paint job. In fact, I just finished this, so I really need to clean it up still. The stripe decal on the rear has some water spots on it from when it dried. The rear end, now originally I had opened up the trunk as well, and I wasn't getting it to operate as cleanly as I wanted, so I just shut it back up. But it is cut out and then glued back in, so you know this seam where it opens up is there. I added a few bumper stickers that I had made from STS decals a while back. So let me get down here. Whoop. All right, so the one on the left, Rock 104, that was one of the rock radio stations in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I grew up back in the 80s. And then the one on the right, well, that's my sense of humor, right? That is me. It's me. The exhaust tips, those are actually made out of brass tubing that I crushed in pliers to get that oval shape, and then I cut off the kit parts and slid those on in place of it. The kit parts looked almost exactly like that, except they were a little more squared off, but obviously they weren't hollow, and to me this gives it a much more accurate look because you get that hollow tip. All right, oops, bumped the camera, sorry. Coming around, so passenger side also opens. The GTS emblem on this side. There's the marker lights, which are, let me back out again, sorry. All right. Okay, so our GTS emblem from the photo etch. Marker lights are from the decal sheet provided in the kit. What else can I say? Well, yeah, okay. One more thing I wanted to mention on this vinyl top. So when you have a vinyl top, you add this trim around the base. All right, so that is also the half round evergreen. So that had to be glued in, and then I used this was a process, let me tell you. It's all bare metal foil on the trim all the way around. The engine, that also came from Matthew at MCV Products. I had some issues, things that didn't fit quite as well as they should have. In fact, I don't have my upper radiator hose on there at the moment. I don't have the lower radiator hose on there at the moment either. I have them and they will get installed. I gotta mess with a little bit because I was going to use the braided metal line for my radiator hose, and I have it. Let's see if I can get in the camera with it here. All right, so I have it, but what I don't have are the proper AN fittings for it. I have the next size down from this, and those were too small. This is actually the right size for my radiator hoses. So I'm calling it done, but yeah, I got a few things I still need to clean up on it. But yeah, that's a 3D printed engine. The brake master cylinder. I had made the brake lines coming off of it, but the fender well is just, it's just too close to that, and it just wasn't going to work out like I had hoped it would. So the distributor is all right, that is okay, the distributor itself actually came with the engine kit. The wiring I did, that is wiring from inside a twisted wire, 14 gauge twisted wire. So that is individual strands of wire from that twisted wire, and then I painted it with a blue enamel paint. And then the air cleaner, I went ahead and decided I was going to go ahead and match the body color with that. And then we made a cutout in the hood for the air cleaner to fit through. But when I put the hood down, all right, we're a little off center. All right, that hood's not even down in there properly. It's not all the way seated. And what I found out was that the distributor is actually making contact with the bottom of the hood. And the GTS here on the hood, I have that somewhere. I went to remove it from the fret and it flew off into the nether regions. I have not found it yet. So hopefully I'll come across it at some point, but if I don't, it'll just be without that badge. The grill, that is also from the photo etch sheet. All right, now let me turn it over real quick. We'll take a look at the underside, which also needs some more work done because I had to modify the stock, the kit muffler system, exhaust system, and what I had tried to do didn't quite work out where it met the headers. In fact, one piece broke off, so, and you can see this one on the left isn't actually making contact with the header. All right, so I still need to fix that. I had to make a new drive shaft because the engine itself is a little bit shorter than the kit one, so I had to lengthen the shaft a little bit. There's our modified exhaust and our undercarriage. But overall, sorry. Overall, I am pleased. I gotta get this thing sorted out. All right, we'll tackle that later. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed, one thing I always add is this blue-green tint stripe at the top of the windshield, because back in those days, all the cars had that. So that's one thing that I try to make sure I put in every older car that I build, is that that tint stripe at the top of the windshield. So this is it. I'm kind of glad it's done, even though there's a few things I still need to do to it to make it really done. I'm pretty pleased with it. I like the color. I really like the color of it. The stance, I think, works pretty good. Now, I'm no expert on hot rods and street rods and all that, but that stance really brings back memories of the late 70s, early 80s to me. Some guys may argue that, but in my mind, that's the way I remember seeing cars like this back then. So from that aspect, it turned out the way I wanted. There's a lot of things I did to this that were the first time I ever really tried. Opening the doors in the trunk, modifying the suspension to get that stance, adding a vinyl top, modifying the hood for the air cleaner to stick through. Yeah. But overall, I'm happy with it. Anyway, I hope you guys like it, and stick around for new projects getting ready to start. I'm getting into a group build again, which is difficult to say after I've spent so much time on this one, but we're going to make it happen. Anyway, till next time, everybody, peace and love.